All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to my podcast. This is the 94 Foot Podcast where we'll be discussing all things NBA. Today's topic is Sir Lamelo Ball, point guard for the Charlotte Hornets. His name has popped up in some trade rumors recently. That is going to be for a multitude of reasons, especially as a guy from the Gen Z era. LaMelo's rise in basketball has definitely been one that we've all seen growing up. You know, his clips have went viral on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. If you were born past 2000s and you were around during that time period, there's no way you don't know who LaMelo Ball is. From the half-court shot, the 94-point game, the shoes, or going overseas. Basketball recently, LaMelo has been a big part of it. Recently, his time in the NBA has its ups and downs. You know, a lot of it is going to be for the fact that he is in Charlotte, which historically has been an team, organization. We initially thought by him going there, he was going to be able to transcend that franchise and help uplift them to see better heights as an organization. But for the first couple years of his career, it's been more of a plateau with LaMelo, where he does show flashes of being a great player, definitely a great distributor, a great scorer, a great rebounder for his position. But at the same time, there's also been inefficiencies in his field goal percentage, his inconsistent three-point percentage, and just the fact that his availability has kind of fluctuated more so on the lower side. And so now we're at a point where he recently signed his Supermax. You know, he wants to stay in Charlotte from what he said. But at the same time, we also have to look at what options he and the organization have to decide so they're both in a mutually beneficial relationship. One of those things are that his availability has become a bigger issue, especially with the development of Brandon Miller as well as Concanapple. I believe it was the Raptors game last week where he sat out the entire fourth quarter, didn't go into the overtime at all. I think those things are starting to become more noticeable, where there's starting to be more calls for potential trades, you know, and seeing where he can end up in the organization and where him and the Hornets are in the future. Now, being honest, as someone that likes LaMelo's play style, I definitely think LaMelo would be better in an organization with more structure. I feel like there's a lot of like carefreeness that comes with playing in Charlotte, which, you know, visually looks great, right? He's able to, you know, throw the ball at the backboard, take wild shots. You know, it's good for the style of basketball that we're accustomed to seeing LaMelo play. But at the NBA level, we also see that it's different, right? There's different requirements that come with it. And what separates LaMelo from a Tyrese Halliburton is that a lot of the stuff LaMelo does, right, the more carefree, reckless stuff, I don't really see. Well, he's not playing now, but Halliburton, when he was playing, typically was more composed. He definitely didn't allow certain things to happen. Like, yeah, turnovers do happen, but I feel like, not to say LaMelo's unserious, but Halliburton, just his approach to the game was different. I think that's the best way to word it. Where LaMelo, he still is the Chino Hills guy. Like, his game never evolved to fit the NBA and like fit an NBA system. It's just like he brought that style to the NBA, that Chino Hills style. And you know, while it worked in Chino Hills and it worked overseas, again, the NBA is a different beast, right? Where the product, you know, the game is just always evolving. And so I think what LaMelo, for him to be successful, is eventually just going to have to be an evolve in how he approaches the game from an IQ standpoint, where he can make the right reads. He's a great player, very smart, but it's also like the seriousness that needs to come with it to take his game to the next level. You've seen that, not to say that he has to have the Mamba mentality, but like you see it with players of that caliber, right? Like an Anthony Edwards, right? Or like a Shai Gilgeous. These are all his peers. These are all people that, you know, he entered the league with. Now, Shai definitely came in a few years earlier, but especially with Anthony Edwards, you see that Anthony, he has that desire to win. Whereas LaMelo was like, he has a desire to win, of course, right? Who's playing to lose? But I think Ant-Man's desire to win is a lot higher than LaMelo's. And I think that also, again, to my previous point, it comes back to a structure as an organization, right? If you don't have a coach that is going to hold his players accountable for certain mistakes they're making out on the court, it's going to affect how they develop. And I think LaMelo, while he has his skills to develop, it's the IQ and the other parts of his game that just haven't developed to the standards of like an NBA point guard or someone that can transcend a franchise. And so I think as of right now, they definitely discussed trades for LaMelo. Nothing concrete, as of right now. The report that came out recently that he requested a trade or he was looking to be traded was debunked. He said in an interview that he's fine in Charlotte. He loves Charlotte. He wants to stay there. But I think for LaMelo, for him to reach the next potential, two things would have to happen. The first thing has to be an organizational shift, right? The organization, I feel they have to get a coach that will bring the best out of all their guys, right? So whatever coach, I'm not too sure about I'm not gonna lie, like the Hornets, they're so irrelevant. I can't even tell you who the coach is, right? But I would say starting with a reputable coach, someone that has like a system, someone that is like not in your face, but someone that is gonna demand the best from you. Like if you can't bring your best, you're gonna be sitting on the bench. I feel like that coach is the type of coach to bring the best version of LaMelo Ball out, because LaMelo, there's no reason that he can't be on the same level of a Tyrese Halliburton. There's no reason that he can't be in competition or in conversations with guys like Anthony Edwards or Shai Gilgeous. He's definitely talented, right? He's a 6'6" point guard that can shoot from range. He can get to the rim. He can dribble. He can pass. He can do it all, right? And so I think it all starts with the structure. I feel like the Hornets have to become a franchise that structures everything in a way that makes it easy or makes LaMelo kind of make that shift in his approach to the game. If he's able to do that, if they're able to find the coach, get the right organizational fits around, I definitely think they can turn around what they got going on in Charlotte, because they do have some great pieces in Charlotte, right? Between Brandon Miller, Knuppel, I even like Miles Bridges, right? Miles Bridges is super athletic. He and LaMelo, they kind of go together. They kind of fit together as teammates, right? So they're very entertaining basketball. But I think at the same time, without those organizational changes, the structure of the Charlotte Hornets just isn't going to really go anywhere. Where even if you trade LaMelo, you're still going to have the same problem with Brandon Miller. You're still going to have the same problem with the next player that has the potential to be the face of the franchise. So I would say the first thing that would have to happen is obviously they have to talk, which I'm sure they do. LaMelo definitely has to, I feel like, has to be in an organization that is going to be structured and definitely force him to develop and become a better player. Now, in the event that, which I think is the more likely option, is that the Hornets don't fix how they're structured as an organization, I definitely do think we're looking at potential trades to different franchises. As we all know, definitely one of the places that has been talked about is the Houston Rockets. For that fit, I think it's okay. I think LaMelo, he isn't I wouldn't say a selfish player, but I'm not too crazy about that fit. Like, yeah, like he has the ball, but I feel like they have Sengun, they have Thompson, they have Durant. I imagine Jabari Smith would have to be included in the package deal for LaMelo. But I think some semblance of that definitely, like his fit in Houston, it's okay. Like it's good. I'm not sure. I'm not too crazy about it. Like if I'm OKC, I'm a OKC staff member, and I see the Hornets and the Rockets do a trade, LaMelo ends up in Houston, I'm not going, oh my gosh, we gotta. It's like, it's okay. I think definitely Ime Udoka will definitely bring the best out of LaMelo for sure, just because he has that reputation of being more of an in-your-face kind of coach, which I think would definitely be beneficial to LaMelo. But at the same time, I'm not too crazy about it. I don't know. And I think that kind of goes into the Ja Morant sort of deal, where like LaMelo's going to have an easier time landing and adjusting his game to other players, and I'll save the job part for a little bit. But it's like when you take those two guys where you're like, all right, we have to make a trade. The league is just so talented now where a lot of teams already have like serviceable options at point guard, where it's like bringing in these guys would be kind of dysfunctional to what they have going on. Overall, I definitely would say from the Rockets, I'm definitely calling Charlotte about Lamelo, right? Because they don't have a point guard at the moment. They do, right? They're running Thompson, and they're doing on and off ball stuff with Durant as well. Definitely inquire about it, see what's there. I'm not sure if there's anything there to be quite frank, but we'll definitely see. The Houston, not the Houston, the Phoenix Suns would be the next one. Devin Booker, Jalen Green, D-Book, I feel has always been a natural two guard. He can play on ball, but his natural strengths would lie as a scoring, shooting guard, right? Where he can run the offense, but you definitely want a Book playing off ball, maybe like some secondary ball handler. That's always been his game. I feel like that's when he's been at his best, is when he's had a point guard next to him. You think the finals run from a couple years ago with Chris Paul, having Chris Paul there definitely helped unlock Devin Booker's game and bring it to a level that it wasn't previously at. Again, with that, I'm not too crazy about that one either. Definitely will put the Suns in a better place to win, or definitely open up their title window if they're able to make the right moves. Giving Lamelo a star player of Book's caliber, because he's been established in the league for so long and he's been such a productive player. I think that will also help motivate Lamelo to kind of want to do more, be more for his team and for his overall development too. But again, we'll definitely have to see on like what other changes they would make to that roster just to kind of balance everything out. Definitely think if he goes to the Suns, like the Rockets, they'll definitely be like contenders right away. The Suns, though, they'll be a lower end playoff team to like more of a playing team, I believe, for like a few years. But if they're able to make the right moves, they'll definitely become a powerhouse. I don't know if they'll ever topple OKC, just because OKC has the draft picks from the Clippers and the Jazz, and they just have like a lot of depth right now, so they're gonna be tough. But I do think like if they are able to acquire Lamelo, make some draft picks, and make some roster changes, definitely think they can definitely make some noise in the West, going forward, maybe in another 3-4 years from now. And then the last team that I wanted to talk about that had some issues at the point guard. Why am I drawing a blank? No. Oh, the Timberwolves. Yeah, the Timberwolves. So, it's going to be the same sort of thing with as well as the Suns, where with the Timberwolves, I feel on paper it gives Ant a break, because Ant, like Book, is more of a two guard. Like Ant can play the one, but I prefer him at the two. And I definitely feel like adding a player like Lamelo, because you see, like, they're very successful with Michael Conley, and he's been serviceable this year. Not too sure, but I definitely feel like if they're able to get a player like Lamelo, it will definitely help Anthony Edwards' development as a player. Also give Lamelo someone, like, to my point about Book, will give him someone that can definitely like evolve his game and how he approaches the game, where it's someone that Anthony Edwards is established. He's one of the top 10 players in the league, I would say. And giving him someone that is of that caliber will force Lamelo to kind of meet that. Whereas I feel like in Charlotte, going back to my previous point, where he is in Charlotte, there's not someone there to hold him accountable. There's not someone there for him to be like, damn, I got to elevate to like meet this standard. I feel like if he has that, then we're going to get the best LaMelo Ball. But we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, right now, it seems like he's going to stay. If I had to predict what happens, I imagine he gets traded within the next 2 years. Just because I think if they continue losing, the organization is going to have to start making some decisions. And yeah, if he's not available, if he's constantly out with injuries, I think at a certain point you definitely have to start picking up the phone and making some phone calls and seeing what's out there for him. But yeah, I mean, we'll definitely keep an eye on this one. Definitely keep coverage on this one. I definitely have some other videos coming out, some other stuff that I'm working on. All these videos should be out by the weekend. I think the next video will be similar topic, similar concept. We'll be looking at John Morant, what's going on with him in Memphis, and just kind of seeing what's going on league wide. But thanks again for tuning in to my first podcast episode, the 94 Foot Pod. Again, we'll be covering all the stuff going on in the NBA. Definitely go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.